we have our next segment with an investor. Private equity platform Singularity Growth has announced the first close of its 500 crores in its 1500 crore rupee Singularity Growth Opportunity Fund 2. Now, this fund is going to invest in energy transition, consumer, financial services, enterprise software, differentiated manufacturing sectors, and it's also going to selectively invest in some listed growth equity opportunities as well. The fund is targeting investments of around 75 to 175 crore each per company across about 14 to 18 deals in the next 2 to 3 years. Joining me now to talk about this is its founder and chief investment officer, Yash Kela. Yash, thanks very much for your time here on CNBC-TV18. Let me start by asking you how easy or how hard has it been raising money in this environment, and by when are you eyeing the final close of this 1500 crore rupee fund?
Ritu, first of all, thank you so much for having me over here. I think, the strategy that we launched this product with ensured that, the fund is tightly tenured. Given that as a background and the entire momentum that we see from the Indian LP landscape, it has not been very difficult to raise this capital. Of course, there's a great goodwill that the platform and the brand carries. Just to give you a context, our last fund, we took about 12 months to raise this capital, and it took about 2 months for us, to do the first close at this quantum. So clearly, I think what is helping us is the strategy with which we are executing this portfolio.
So by when will you get to that 1500 crore sum? In another 4 months at that rate?
I wish I knew the answer to that, but we have a lot of Indian institutional investors having interest in this strategy. The fund has gone to the second level of distribution through distributors. So we believe that we should see good traction from here onwards. And the fund has done the first transaction in this period of Navratri. So we are excited about what is ahead.
What is that transaction that you've done, in the Navratri period? Is there only one that has been closed so far?
For this fund, in the last 2 quarters through Growth Equity Fund 1, we have done 8 transactions. This recent one that we did, which was the first transaction in this fund, is a 4-wheeler light commercial vehicle EV company, which is based out of Hyderabad. So the announcement will come soon.
So 8 investments already made from the first close of this fund?
That's correct.
Go ahead, Yash. In line with?
Sorry, I lost you for a bit, but what I was saying was, in line with energy transition, which is one of the core theses of this fund, we stand bullish on that category and everything, particularly the manufacturing base that has to be built in this country to support energy transition. So the first investment that we made was a company called Loham Clean in this category. And the second investment in this thesis we made in a 4-wheeler light commercial vehicle company. It has partnership with a global EV major, and the products will come into testing in January.
I see. I think you've dropped enough hints, Yash. We'll get back to you on that. But, you're clearly excited about the EV space. What else? What would you say is a core investment strategy when you look at this fund? And, what are some of the other sectors besides EV that you're excited about?
So, Ritu, one of the things for us as growth equity is to go after sectors which are seeing a higher growth. I think what we target is if that growth is possible for a 7-8 year time frame, and capital efficiency becomes key for us. In line with this, the sectors that we have picked apart from energy transition. So consumer clearly continues to be one important sector for us, and particularly omnichannel, which is backed by omnichannel distribution and manufacturing. Financial services, and particularly fintech infra platforms, which have reached a certain size. And manufacturing, which has technology and IP, which makes it differentiated as compared to a pure play contract manufacturing play. These 3 becomes important sectors. Selectively, we do enterprise software.
Yash, what are the timelines you're working with? With this 500 crores, you said you've already invested in 8 companies and the total investments you're looking at is 18. By when are you targeting to deploy that? And will the investment size be very restricted to this 75 to 175 crore figure you've given us?
Ritu, just to clarify, as a platform and as a fund, we did these investments out of our earlier fund over the last 2 quarters. The new fund that we have launched has done one investment and to another. To answer your earlier question, our deployment period for any pool of capital is generally over 3 years. So if we see timeframes, and particularly a timeframe like this where there is a clear dispersion between public and private market comms, and at least for businesses which are profitable and capital efficient, we will go aggressive in those timeframes. But on an average, over 3 years, we will deploy this capital.
Speaking of public markets, from your Fund 1 and other companies that you've already put in money a few years back, how many of them are ready to go to the public markets?
Ritu, 9 out of the 17 companies are directionally slated to get listed. One has already got listed in the last week of September. We see 2 companies which are filing for DRHP, which will get listed around the January to March timeframes. And every year we have 2-3 companies in the pipeline which should get listed. But 9 out of 17 companies we see directionally can get listed out of this portfolio.
Yash, you're very careful about not dropping any names, but thank you very much. It was a pleasure speaking with you. And we hope to have you back when you're able to close that fund and tell us more about your plans for it. Thanks very much, Yash.
Thank you so much.
On that note, it is time for us to head into a short break. But coming up next, sports tech startup Game Theory has raised $2 million in a pre-Series A funding round. We learn about its fund allocation plans and expansion plans on the other side. Stay tuned.